Mm-hmm. Come on, come on. Hello, hello, hello. Terrible troubles getting on tonight, guys. Don't know if there's anyone watching. Here we go. We have left off. It's at ninth. Ninth already, the first. Hi, Maz. How are we doing? Hope you had a lovely Christmas.
You ready, Paul?
Yep. Good to go.
Good evening, guys, and welcome to Journey Through the Unexplained. We are opening up the show a tiny bit differently tonight. We've gone with no credits. We've gone with just how it is. It's not the show that we planned for 2025, but it's a show that will be, what would you say, forever in our hearts. I just want to take this time to thank Philip Solomon for taking us through the last hour on Pulse Talk Radio. But on the 29th of December this year, last year, we lost the owner of Pulse Talk Radio. He sadly passed away at a very young age through pneumonia and sepsis. We have no words. There is no words that we can describe or say at this time. We don't. It's hard. It's hard to take of a friend, a colleague, a family member of the Pulse Talk Radio community. We didn't know if we was going to go live tonight. That's as simple as it gets. But I know that Carl would hate it and moan at us if we didn't go live. Even to the point that I do think that he was still mucking around with our computer 5 minutes before we was going live because we couldn't get on air. We have to thank Carl for what he did, for giving us a voice. Back all them years ago, it must be coming up to 5 years, when myself and Joe joined the station. We did the very first show, and we are still going today. We're 141 shows in. But not at one point did I think at 141 shows I'll be opening up a show in such cases. Who am I to ask now for when we go live? Are we broadcasting? Who does our jingles? Who knows? But we will do our best to support the family at this horrible time. And this goes for everybody that on Pulse Talk Radio. Our love and our condolences goes to Tracy and Cole's family at this very, very, what words, horrendous time. I spoke to Paul straight away as when we got the news on the 29th. Not that we was expecting it. I really wasn't. I know we got news that Carl was in hospital around, I think it was around the 24th, 23rd from Tracy. I spoke to her during Christmas and New Year, and the signs were good. He was taking small steps to progress. Was I expecting the news come the 29th? No, I wasn't. A lot of people reached out to us. Philip Solomon, a very good friend of Carl. We go back to old presenters, Beth, Barry, Tom, Scott Allen. All of us were in deep shock. And even when I spoke to Simon as well, when we did the EGH Paranormal show, there was shock, there was disbelief, because you just don't expect at this time of year to be so hard. We all mourn in different ways, and the one thing that this show will do, in whatever context it goes on, if it's on Pulse Talk Radio, if it's just on Facebook and YouTube, it will always be remembered in Carl's name, because he was the one that gave us this voice. I have spoke to Joe, and that knocked him as well as everybody. I just have no words. I don't have no words that can really put everything into context. It's just going to be a very funny few weeks, guys. We will try to keep it going. I have been in contact with Philip, and Philip is in close contact with the family. But we will be just giving the family a bit of space at this moment in time, which is a natural thing to do. And when Tracy is ready, she will obviously let everybody know what the plans are for Pulse Talk Radio. But I will purposely say this, that I will make sure that I can do everything possible to support Tracy in trying to keep Pulse Talk Radio going, because I know that was Carl's baby. He loved it. He loved this station. He absolutely adored this station. And he did everything for this station. And he was even making a new station called Ryan FM for his son, which I think this was going to be integrated into at some point. So we can only follow what we are guided to. And I know Carl will be speaking to us in some way, and I think he has tonight. In a funny sort of way, he has tonight, making our sound go at the penultimate. That's why we're late on air. That's why we're late. And that was what he knew. I used to say, Carl, I can't get this to work. I can't get this to work. And he'd just say, calm down. Just do this. Just do that. Just do this. Just do that. And then he'd get it going. It's totally different to when we first started. We was using this cable, that cable, this virtual cable to get everything live. It's a bit of a different setup. But we are broadcasting on Kyle's station in his name tonight. Our show does carry on. We've opened up like this, and I didn't know what to do all the way home. I didn't know how I was going to open this up. I didn't know. I just didn't want to play the credits. I didn't. I don't think it was right to. We will carry on this show. I'm saying it with tears in my eyes. But we will be okay. And I will make sure his family is looked after as well, as best as we can. I know we're miles away. And I said to Paul, it's weird because it's a friend that I've never met, like, personally. But for 5 years, we'd spoken on the phone, we'd spoken through Teams, we'd spoken through this, we'd spoken through that, Zooms, working this, and our late night conversations when we had to go live to try and get it to work at 2 o'clock in the morning when things, wasn't intervened. I remember taking Philip off air one day by accident and Carl saying, "Don't press the button." But we did. There is a good friend of ours in the paranormal world, Kindred Spirits, Mel. I have been talking to Mel very closely, and we are trying to hatch some form of plan together where EGH comes together with Kindred Spirits in the honour of Carl. How we make that work, I don't know, but we will make it work. But I know Carl will be now sitting there saying, "Russell, shut up. Just do what we do, and let's do what needs must." And that's what we will do tonight. We will carry on as if he's still there. He's still with us, because I don't want him telling me off about all this morbid crap that we are doing now. So, in true traditional fashion, I'm just going to hand over to Paul and say, "Paul, how was your week?"
Yeah, that was a very nice opening, Russ. I'm glad I didn't really have to have much input into that, mate, because I would have gone down the same route as you, I think.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is hard. It is hard. Like you say, such a young age as well. It's never expected. But do you know what? All I kept thinking is something that was said to me the other day, and I thought, what a great saying. I'd never heard it before, and I can't remember how it came about. But all he said was, "You can't add days to your life, but you can add life to your days." And I thought, what a wonderful saying. You've got to make every day count, because you just never know what's around the corner. You've literally got to, I know it's hard, but you got to try and treat each day as if it's your last, haven't you? But yes. Sorry, go on.
No, I totally agree. I totally 100% agree.
But yes, other than that, Russ, my week hasn't been too bad. It's been I don't remember getting the blues as much as I have the first couple of days after the new year. New year, new start and all that. I've really struggled the first couple of days. Just to, here we go again. That's another, starting again. But no, I'm trying to take on board what I've just quoted. Look on the positives all the time, try not to look at the negatives and be thankful for what we have got.
And that's what we need to do more of. We need to do more of being thankful, and not what other people have got, not what other people want. And, I say to a lot of people, there is a lot of things, as long as you have got happiness in your life, there is nothing more than you need. If you can wake up in the morning and you can smile because you've got your partner next to you, you've got your wife, you've got your kids, you've got your loved ones next to you, what more do you want? What more do you need? You've got a roof over your head and you're living. And you look around the world, you look going up north at the moment, there's no power. We look at, Los Angeles is on fire. We know at the moment, Mickey, the sound is a bit iffy at the moment. I do apologise. We haven't got much to go on. It's all connected by Bluetooth and limping through the show. So I can only apologise at this moment in time for the sound. I'll try and connect to the. You just got no sound. I'll work on it over the next couple of days. But I just wanted to get this show. Wrong words, I don't know. I wanted to just get through this show. That's all it was tonight. Me and Philip have discussed all day. Shall we? Shan't we? Shall we? Shan't we? Shall we? Shan't we? Shall we? Shan't we? And at the penultimate time, we said, "Let's just do this. Let's just do this." And that's what we both agreed and both have done. I was a little bit later on, and we didn't necessarily fill in after Philip, but we are live, and we need to do our show for the right reasons, and that's in memory of Carl. And that's, as you've just said, some lovely things there. Let's live for the day, not for tomorrow, not for the day that you've just passed. There's no need for that. We live every day as it comes, because you don't know when your last day is on this world.
No.
And I think that's really quite a good thing, you know. And I make sure I say good night to everyone I need to say good night to. I say good morning to everybody I need to say good morning to. I say I love you to everybody I say I love you to. Because you don't know, that's my worst fear. Do you know that? One of my worst fears is passing and not saying I love you to all the people I need to say to. When I walk out the door and get in my car, I say I love you. Do you know what? I don't know why. That's a fear. I just want to know, people know that if I was to have an accident or anything like that, God forbid, touch wood, that we left on good terms. Don't argue. Don't go to bed on arguments, because you don't know what happens in the middle of the night. I'd never go to bed on an argument. Go to bed angry, don't get me wrong, but I would make sure everything is clear before I finally put my head down. And that's all right, you know. But yeah, gee, we've started off 2025 well, haven't we? I can hear Carl in my ears right this minute. Let's crack on with, you know, some form of show. Let's, you know, talk about what we need to talk about. Chair keeps going down. We've got loads to talk about. We really have got loads to talk about. We've got drones or orbs or whatever you want to see being seen over Wales and England at the moment. We've got snow falling in everywhere around us but par London, which is a bit freaky in everything it's saying. And then we've got the forest fires that have absolutely decimated. And I mean, I think that's the worst I've seen it, and speaking about it, in LA over the last sort of, well, not even 24 hours, is it really? It's only been sort of the last 12 hours. I think I woke up to it this morning more than anything.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
But let's start off with a theory, okay? I'm going to throw this theory out to you and everybody that's watching, okay? This weather that is happening around the world, and I'm going to use UK as an example, okay? Because over the last week leading up, we was being threatened with heavy snow, this, that, and the other. It's going to, you know, ground to a halt the country, which, yes, it has. But why does these freak weather deluges and rain and things never hit capitals or main cities? Like, why has the snow avoided London and the London boroughs? But it will, and this seems to happen more and more frequently. I'm seeing floods that happen up north and south. Look at the weather that happened in Cornwall a few months back. But we are not. We've got a major river that running through the London, the Thames. We've got a Thames barrier that will apparently stop this flooding because it's really close to flooding. But we've never been nowhere near it. We're not getting no snow. We're not getting shut down. Where all the, where the government is being run from, where this has been. But it's not shutting down the central area. And that just got me thinking, is this being more and more controlled to a point of they can just isolate and stop a certain part of it? Do you get what, can they actually stop just where it's going to lay? Or am I looking too deep into this?
I don't know. Halfway through that, I was sort of thinking to myself, "Oh, be careful what you wish for." Not that you was wishing for it, but be careful what. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think.
Well, to be fair, Paul, if it does snow, there's a good chance I won't be at work. So there's a slight part of me where I work. Yeah. There's a good chance snow shuts down. So
we had a bit the other night that started to set. It was lovely and white outside, and I thought, oh. But I worked the next day. I thought, please don't set, please don't. And it didn't. I got up in the morning and it was just wet. So I was a bit thankful for that, to be fair. Because as much, I think I would have liked it to snow over Christmas when I haven't got to go to work. Because it looks nice. It's got the seasonal feel to it. But
it makes everything look pretty.
Yeah. But no, you're right. We haven't really had. I mean, it's been cold, but we've not really had bad weather our end, have we, at all? And even up north, I mean, when it comes to the snow, everything's a warning now. If there's a slight change in the weather, there's a warning for it. And I don't get that. I don't get the fear mongering behind everything, because it snows up north every year, and from what I've seen, it hasn't been terribly bad.
No, not. But the whole. For me, I've always called it the Michael Fish effect. The hurricane's never going to reach us, don't worry. And it battered us. So now it's gone the whole 360 and gone, any little chance we have to say it.
Yeah,
so we're prepared for it.
I'll make you right.
But even to the point that they knew this was coming, but the airports are still getting shut down. There's still delays in flights going out. But we know that it's there. We know that it's coming. So how does that stop the airports from running? You know it's coming.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. None of this makes sense. But it just feels like all the pictures that I'm seeing, the whole of the UK has been covered in snow, but there's about this much around London that hasn't had any snow at all. Well, it has, like you said, it settled for about 5 minutes. You got Marianne saying it snowed for a bit, then stopped. But you look at like places like Cornwall, Manchester this morning, Birmingham, they've been peppered with it. I know they're used to it and they should be used to it, but this is happening more and more on a frequent event that these, when do we hear of anything happening in the States, in Washington? The capital, Washington. Never. When have I heard of anything in Paris, of snow stopping Paris or anything like that? It never happens in the central points of a country.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. You're right. It does get
Wherever
you thinking.
The government sits, it doesn't reach, does it? It just doesn't. It's like, but I don't know in my mind how I'm seeing it. I really don't know if it's, there is a cloud that's coming over the whole of the UK and it will snow everywhere, and they can stop this bit above London, or they're bringing the snow in because we know it's supposed to be snowing at winter time, but we're not going to have it hit London because we need people to carry on working. We need, like the Bank of England to stay open. We need this, we need that. We need it. You know, that's where I'm stuck. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I
don't know how it is registering. I don't know how they're controlling that side of the weather.
I think they've got the potential to be able to control all of it. I think we've pretty much established that they can, if they wanted to, I think, control the whole lot. I think we've got to that stage. And who's to say?
Agree.
Yeah, who's to say that they're not controlling everything? You know, you've only got to set it up off of the coast, knowing what way the wind's blowing, and apparently they can even affect the jet stream now, can't they? So,
I just find it really freaky because yes, snow is a bugbear. I know it is a bugbear for a lot of people, but it'd just be nice to see it every now and again.
Yeah,
just nice. Do you know what I mean? It'd be nice to see how, you know, it just makes everything look clean for a couple of days.
And I just love walking in the snow, the silence, because it's sandproof, isn't it? Snow. You've got nothing for the sand to bounce off of. So, and I remember the last time it was like that. We was talking about it today, funny enough. The last time we saw a good amount of snow, I was still at senior school, and it was around Easter time because it was just coming up to Easter holiday, and we got sent home from school half day because it was a blizzard. I mean, it was snowing so heavy, and as we was walking across the school field, we had to literally lift our legs up over the snow. It was above our knees. It was the best day, you know, just snowball fights the whole way home. But I haven't seen snow like that since then around here.
No, you know, I know we had significant snowfall when I used to work on grounds maintenance. That was a good prolonged week or 2 weeks of, you know, snowfall, because I remember having gritting all the pathways of all the OAP places and certain, it was, yeah, I'm not talking snow like 5 foot deep. We're talking about, you know, a good, you know, 6 inches. And that's as deep as I can imagine, you know, remember it as a kid. Sort of stuff.
But I remember,
you know,
thick snow every year when I was a kid.
Yeah. Guaranteed snow at some point.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. I remember even when I used to work as the debt collecting, you know, we had a couple of years where, it was, you know, it really snowed. I remember actually getting up one morning, and I lived in Upminster and had to drive to Basildon, and there was no snow when I left. And I remember it starting to snow just as I got in the van, and by the time I'd got to Basildon, it was sort of undrivable, if that makes sense. It was like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
You know, but it wasn't like 5 foot deep. Once again, we're only talking sort of 3 or 4 inches, but that's enough to cause havoc when the roads haven't been gritted or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I've seen gritters out down around our way, and you're thinking, it's raining. What are you gritting for?
Yeah.
It's not going to get any colder. It's going to be cold. It's going to get 2 degrees. Yeah, I get it. But it's not going to make your roads that slippy. We're not having that sort of freeze. You know, it's not. I'm not getting in the car and it's saying -7 on my car like it used to.
Nah. Oh, the lowest my car's red is 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the roads are not bad. And you think, why are you waiting? You know, you make it. It all seems just so predictable. And like, you just think, I don't believe you. I don't believe you now. And it's like they're doing all this stuff, and I just do not believe you, because it just feels so. We are living in a bit of concentration around London that's just not being touched. It doesn't matter what happens. I know that you sort of was on the outskirts of the rain and fires a few years ago, wasn't you?
Yeah.
But would you class that as necessarily a really major event? It was sort of over in a night, wasn't it? A day at a push.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing about that was the few houses that went up with it. But yeah,
It's
I
not
think
a fire
I
like
wouldn't
we're
say
used
it's a
to.
mate. No, I mean it's
No.
nothing in comparison to what they're having in America at the moment, is it? Obviously, but I mean it was a local fire that caught some houses. You know, it seemed major around here because we've never really had anything like that, apart from the constant burning of the illegal tip by
Yeah.
Launders Lane, which I still think, because of the wind was so strong that day, that caused a lot of that in Wellington, because you can see the ambers flowing through the air, and it only takes that, because
Yeah.
it was dry, hot and dry. It only takes a few of them to land on the dead grass, and that's it. That's gone.
Well, there was rumours that they were saying underneath the ground as well over the
Yeah,
New
there is. And that's
Wellington,
what's
wasn't there?
constantly burning. If the
Yeah.
wind's blowing this way, I can smell it. It's constantly burning.
Sandra said gritters were around our way at 2:30 today. I'm no expert, but sure that's too early in the day to grit. And yes, it was sunny.
Mm.
But it's yeah. I just it doesn't make any sense. I get the gritters in like the north and the south and the west where they're getting snow and you can see the pictures. Yeah, grit all day long. They should be gritting all day long, but I just don't get it. It's like they're ticking a box.
Mm.
It's like, oh, you might get it. We've got to make it look a little bit realistic. We're going to give you sort of 35% chance on the weather apps that you're going to get a bit of snow. Full well, you're never going to get a living thing.
Yeah, but then it's also the temperature fluctuation, isn't it? It was like 2 degree one day, and then it went up to 12 degree the following day. That's a
Yeah,
huge jump, and then
it's
back
not
down
even
to
funny.
two.
Yeah, that's enough to throw the body into some form of sort of disarray because you don't know if you're hot or you're cold.
But this is the other thing, that I've never. I know we get our seasonal illnesses and things like that, but I've never known so many people to get taken out by this, whatever it is going. It's a number of things going around. Yeah, and that doesn't help. I don't think the going hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold.
No, no, it really doesn't. And yeah, I say, I do think there is a real manipulation of weather at the moment. I really do. I do think, especially over the London and the surrounding regions. I really do. And I think that is a little bit harsh on the rest of the country because the rest of the country have been, we know the Northerners are different breed to the Southerners. They'll be out in their t-shirts and, shorts in that weather and not batter an eyelid. We know that.
Yeah.
We're not, we we're not frightened to say that. A bit of snow down here. Yeah, we have got our thermals on and got everything on, but up north, they are a different breed when it comes to cold weather, and I know you're used to it. But this is totally different. They say the country's split into two.
Yeah.
And they used to say, obviously like the differential in like Maggie Thatcher and all that sort of not pay this and not pay that, and cost of living is totally different up in the north it is to the south. But I still think there is a weather divide of some form that is up there as well. I think, and this, what would you call it? This The last week or so has really sort of I'm thinking, this is just crazy. This is crazy beyond any form of craziness that I can actually imagine. Because what is actually going on? I couldn't work it out. I couldn't work it out. And then once again, waking up this morning with these wild, devastating fires that are ripping through the Los Angeles area.
Yeah.
And it's taken out high celebrities as well. And I think I have a theory on that one as well. But have you got any more to say on like the UK's weather, Paul, before we sort of move on?
No, not on the UK's, mate.
So, right, let's move to the US and this wildfires that are going on. Now, once again, if this is a tragedy beyond all tragedies, it's not called for. I don't like it. But do you feel that this is being manipulated, these fires? Or do you generally think this could be natural?
I don't very rarely feel anything's natural anymore. And I think if they are natural, it's everything else that goes on before and around it when these things happen that all come to light. And that's when I start thinking, that's when I have doubts of anything being natural, because it's just too much of a coincidence. You know, you had 2 months ago, you had all the insurance companies in California. Apparently, they stopped everyone's insurance, saying that they were going to go bust. And then they put them all back on again, but they said, but we're going to not cover you for fire damage. Literally like 2 months ago. So all them people that have lost their homes have not got insurance for it.
That's crazy.
So straight away, you're like, well, that's just a bit of a coincidence. And the same with the Canada fires. I think the similar thing happened there. But as well, with America and Canada, a bit like us and our councils, they keep getting rid of these very important facilities. And I can't remember that. I was trying to remember the name. I was talking to my wife about it. I'm going to call them like forest marshals. I don't think that's what they're called, but that's what I'm going to call them. And they go out and they clear up all the dead growth and this and that, any fallen trees, anything that's, so it's all cleaned up and everything like that to stop something like this being as big as what it is. Well, like we do with our councils, we've stopped all that sort of thing. Apparently, we can't afford it. Well, that's what they've done. They've done it in Canada. They do it in America. They stopped all these forest guys. Well, I say stopped them. I think they just got rid of that sort of department. So they're not going out there and cleaning up all the dead, rotting foliage and things like that, which is just like, what do you call it, tinderbox waiting to go, isn't it? You know what I mean? So you've got that on top of that as well. Why would you stop, knowing that that's an area that's prone for fires anyway? So why would you stop all that? And even Trump, when he done the Joe Rogan show, he was talking about the water in California, and he was talking about forest fires. And I mean, and that was a few months ago. And he was saying about, you know, they've deliberately directed water, natural water flow away from California that goes straight into the sea. Now, when Trump was when he was last president, he wanted to start a bill or something like that redirects that flow of water, so that the whole ground will have water running through it, which keeps all your trees and your foliage moist and things like that. So it will stop them kind of fires happening. Well, as soon as Biden got in, they then took out a lawsuit against that to stop that happening and rerun all that water back into the ocean, because they said if they'd done that, this little fish, I can't remember the name of this fish, it would kill this fish off. So, and that was their excuse for not doing it. And you think all these little things add up, and you think, why is that? And I know I sent you one earlier about it's coincidence, isn't it, that LA was another smart city. Well, it's another smart city that was waiting to be going ahead in 2028, just like Maui, just like Chile. Isn't it coincidence that all these places that are meant to turn into smart cities end up being engulfed in flames? And that's where I end up with it, Russ. Yeah, it could be completely natural, but I'm just looking at all these different things that go on that lead up to that, and I think, well, doesn't sound that natural to me now. And when you look at the satellite imagery, I know there was 5 sort of fires that set off, but 3 of them literally started at exactly the same time. A bit like the Canada fires did. They literally start smoking at exactly the same time. And you're like, come on. But that's where my head goes.
I know it's too early to say yet, but I've seen no footage of blue beams regarding, but it's still too early. We're only in I think we're only into sort of, the 12th hour to this to be,
I see footage of a big blue flash, the whole sky lit up blue, and then the flames started. I have seen them.
So I do have a theory on this, right? And I really do. And I don't mean it to sound how it's going to sound. I do, but I don't. But looking at Sky News today, there's been certain celebrities on there. Okay. I'm just going to sort of mention a few. Okay. So we've got Billy Crystal. We've got Paris Hilton. Hold on. We've got Mark Hamill. We've got Mandy Moore. And we had, I think, someone like Tom Cruise was evacuated. Steven Spielberg had been, Sally Fields, Hilary Swank. Just to name a few. Now, Beyonce, Kim Kardashian have all fled, right? Now, I'd love to know, and I know some of them, I don't know all of them, but who they backed in the presidential election. Now, we know Mark Hamill backed Joe Biden. We know Tom Cruise backed Joe Biden. The rest I'm not too sure of. I think Beyonce was weren't she at one of the Kamala Harris dances? Yeah, I don't know about Mandy Moore. I don't know about Adam Sandler. I don't know about Steven Spielberg. I don't know. But what's to say that if we can control this weather like this, is this Mr. Trump getting back at these people? Because this is the first time I've heard that such big celebrities have lost their homes. We're talking about Billy Crystal here, and Paris Hilton and Mark Hamill all lost their homes. At this moment in time, they are on fire. They've had to, because they're on fire. Right? The rest I'm not too sure about. They've just said they're being evacuated. But these 3 have had their homes on fire. It just sounds like, look, you mentioned to me that the so-called elitists here, and we know that Tom Cruise, and we know that there's certain people around that are in this elite category, aren't they? They are presidential status in this.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, to me, that this is, if it isn't, this is some form of karma in the wrong terminologies, because this would not have happened. If this was a year ago, I can guarantee you that these celebrities' houses would not have been on fire. I'm saying my word on that. I don't think I've ever seen such big celebrities come out and saying their houses are on fire, we've had to move. And we do get a lot of forest fires around this area. California, Los Angeles, Malibu. This is not unusual to have forest fires, but it is unusual to see so many celebrities. You know, we've got Steve Guttenberg that I'd heard of since Three Men and a Little Baby and Police Academy, that he's actually opened his own home up to random people to like.
So you could say as well, though, that with the previous fires, it seemed to get everyone but the celebrities, and that's what was doing everyone's head in, and that's what. So it's like, if it is the same people, then it could be a case of, right, well, we can't miss all the celebrities again. We're going to have to get some celebrities this time to make it look authentic.
They haven't gone. They've gone pretty cutthroat then.
Yeah,
they haven't just gone like, from mid.
They're not really going to lose out on much, are they? There's, the general public out there that have lost their homes, and this sounds quite awful, doesn't it? So, my heart goes out to everyone involved in this. It's not a nice thing, and anyone that has lost their life, it's a terrible tragedy. But with the A-list celebrities that we're talking about, it's materialistic things that can easily be replaced, in my eyes, with the kind of money they've got. And were they all there, or did it seem like they had prior notice, or I don't know.
I do generally feel this is and you know me, I normally sit on the fence about this sort of crap, and I normally sit on the fence when it comes to sort of the elitists and the deep state and how they hit people. This is out of context to how my brain thinks.
I don't think it would be a Trump involvement. I don't think he would do something like that on US soil. If he had if he knew about this kind of thing, I think he'd save that up for foreign countries if and when he needed it. But
okay, well, let's take the actual man out of play himself. Let's take the actual man out of play himself. What's it to say it's not his one of his team, or do you know what I mean? He may not, I'm not saying, look, I'm not sitting here saying he has any involvement at all into this. This is just how we know that Donald Trump is against anything to do with the elitists, the deep state in our eyes, we can see he's trying to go up against that. Now, there must be some form of power trip. There must be some form of what's the word? He would have knowledge of this sort of stuff that can go on. I don't care who you are, he's not involved in things that can control the weather, can do this, can do that. He knows what can happen. He knows how it can happen. He knows why it can happen. I just feel that there's something not right here. I have never known. We're talking about Tom. We're talking about who did I say? What's his name?
Tom Cruise.
No,
It was Tom Hanks, wasn't
Tom
it?
Hanks. Sorry, Tom Hanks. And Reese Witherspoon's. Their houses are gone. And you say, yeah, it's materialistic, but what is in that home that could, he's going to have Oscars, he's going to have this, he's going to have that, he's going to have memorabilia of some of these
the
other
other conspiracy as well. It's all these people, all these celebrities' houses that have actually gone and that are burning up are all sort of the ones that are being thrown into the investigation of the Hollywood.
This is what I'm saying.
It's a way of getting rid of evidence more than anything. That was one of the conspiracies.
Well, it makes sense then. But that makes sense. That does make sense. I can see there's something in it then. I just didn't know where I was feeling. Do you know what I mean? It just goes against my way of thinking. It goes against how I think. And I don't know why. Normally I would, some of them names there that we've mentioned are untouchable. They're untouchable in my head. Beyonce, Tom Hanks.
But look what's been going on recently, though. They're slowly coming. The house of cards is falling. They're slowly getting picked off and realizing that they're not untouchable.
Yeah, but who's picking? That's my question. Who is picking them off now? Because this is only, in my eyes, this is only happening when Trump's organization has now come into power. And we've only got to look along the lines of Mr. Musk at the moment. He's obviously got he has an issue with the UK at this present time, once again relating to this sex trafficking ring that is going to have famous celebrities somewhere mentioned, guaranteed. And where does Mr. Musk lie? He's been made a part of, obviously, in some way, shape, or form, a part of the Trump's cabinet in that whatever it was form. I don't know what it was, but he wasn't he? It's only a sort of year's contract, I believe. But there's something not right with these fires. What you've said, I suppose that makes more sense of how I feel. But I'm sure they could have done the burning of evidence or the getting rid of evidence easier than setting the whole of Los Angeles alight.
Well, it's risky, isn't it? Because if it doesn't literally that, if you're trying to cover something up, if there's something left and it didn't burn when they're going through wreckage, then that's going to open up some eyes, isn't it? So yeah, it's very risky. Like I say, it was just one of the conspiracies floating about. Just seemed odd that a certain names of celebrities were on a certain list, and it's all their houses that seem to go. I mean, they probably all live next door to each other. That's why. But it's
Atlanta Boulevard and things like that. They all got their famous houses down. I think I do get it. So yes, but I just think if they were getting rid of evidence, I think there would be more a certain and absolute certain it's gone way than setting a house. As you say, not all the house may go up. It only needs one bit of evidence left and it's not gone. Can they make sure it's gone? Yeah, probably. But someone coming into your house, ripping it apart, taking it, you've got to have this, you've got to have that, is more of the way going. And that's why I say it feels like this is something going against the establishment. We see it I think we're seeing, I know you and Joe talk about it quite a lot. I'm not as far advanced in how I feel, but I don't think we're quite that advanced within the UK yet. I still think we have a long way to go before our house of cards falls. But you do see it more and more. You see these more and more right-wing politicians. We see these right-winged activists getting more airtime. I think
it's because 90% of the UK is classed as right wing at the moment, Russ. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to express concerns about anything. If anyone says anything about these grooming gang scandals, then you're far right for questioning the. It's so wrong, and it's always a narrative, and they've got to stick to it.
And I do get all that, but I don't see. See, my head always goes to that there's a reason for it. I generally feel there's a reason for it. Why the establishment is allowing this to happen. Why the establishment is allowing it to go forward in that way, shape, or form. There has to be a reason for it. You know, I don't feel Trump got in because people voted for him. Trump got in my head because the establishment allowed him to get in. I think they have more control than we will ever imagine. I don't think we can ever stop that control now because it's there. We can only oust that control in some way, shape, or form. That's that's where my head is.
No, I know. You've always, granted, you haven't changed your view on that. You have always had that outlook on it. I just think that if the whole country pretty much votes for that person, if he then never did get in, I mean, it was a complete whitewash, or red wash, should I say. So if he never then got in, that's a hell of a risk to take, because the people that did vote are going to know that they voted, and it would have been an uproar, I think.
But they would have made sure he got in. I ummed and ahed all the way through it, and there were certain points I did say this and I did say that, and it was a really split race right up until the last minute for me, until sort of that last week. But I still think there's a conspiracy underlining there. I don't think it was as clear cut as what it was made out to look like. I don't think the people of the US would have wanted Kamala Harris in, but I think it was quite a tough decision, and I think it was an easy decision for the establishment to allow Trump in at that time, because there was really no one that they could put in that would allow, to give them what you would say. Do you know what I mean? That the questionable doubt. There was no questionable doubt because no one really that. Do you know what I mean? And it was sort of the reverse over here, wasn't it? It was the reverse over here, that we all knew who was getting in before it even went to a general election.
Yeah.
There was no. You might as well have not bothered voting in this country and just put.
Well, most didn't.
Labour.
I think it was the lowest turnout of votes ever. Yeah, and they only won me 30% of that. I think, didn't they?
But we knew. We knew. We knew. Before them exit polls, we knew. We knew who was coming into power because of how, wrongly or rightly, the system worked, and B, how the certain party in, you know, the conservatives and the media played how and what and when and why. You know, let's be fair. A lot of people voted based on, in my eyes, in our country, was based on what happened during COVID.
Mm.
That was what I think was a lot of, you know, they did this, they did that, they was allowed to get away with it. We had to stay indoors, blah, 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 blah. And I think that was the underlining issue that festered in people's minds, wrongly or rightly. And I think it was probably time for change within the UK from the two big parties. But that was never going to happen because how our voting system works. Not to say that reform should get in, that's not what I'm saying, but there does need to be more of a choice of who we're voting for.
Yeah.
In this country, that, you know, I don't think we should. I don't think the seats thing. This, whatever, I can't what's it called? The voting one, population representation, or how you say it.
Oh my God, I've had a mind fart.
Proportionate representation.
That's it. Proportionate representation. One time I forget it, you bloody remember it.
But we got there. Until that comes into play, the system is never going to work. And I just think you should be voting for whoever you see. So when it comes to the next one, it should, you know, you've got the Reform, you've got Conservatives, you've got Labour, you've got the Lib Dems, you've got Greenpeace, you've got the monster raving loony party. Do you know what I mean? It should just be whoever wins out of all of them is in.
Yeah.
That's as simple as it should get. Because you still vote on their manifesto. You're not taking their manifesto out of play. They can still do it. But who needs to know about how many seats?
No, but at the same time, you know, that one gets in. But you've got to have other people in the parliament anyway, haven't you, to put their points across. So, like again, I think Reform absolutely smashed Lib Dems out of the park. Yet Lib Dems earned something like 30 seats, and Reform only got 4.
They got,
yet Reform,
Lib Dems got 90 odd seats, I think. Yeah, got a silly amount, I think.
What I'm saying, and Reform absolutely sort of quadrupled the amount of votes that they got. So that's where it's got to be evened out as well, you know.
But I don't. It's no different to. It's no different to the states. I just think whoever gets the most gets in. Whoever comes second gets in. You know, I don't like all this how many seats you get and how many this. Even in the state, I know I get it because you have to have a voting system and you have to have this. I get all that, but work it out differently. I don't care. You've got to get to said amount of seats, or it's a hung parliament. No, if you win 6 million votes to the one who's got 1 million, you win. You've won. You govern. Simple as. How they work out the seats after is fine. But I don't want to be sitting on telly. Oh, there's another seat gone here. That makes that 200 seats to this. I don't care about how many seats you've got. I don't care how many that. You know, even in the American election, they had to get to, what was it, 316 to get in. So what if you get to 315 and you got one more, you're not going to get in? How does that work?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
You know, you've got one seat and you can't get in power. No, just number of votes in. Sandra has put, the voting was so complicated. I think this was meant to confuse people. Even the Americans I spoke to couldn't tell how the voting worked. You know, Sandra was over there at the time, which, you know, I think we would have liked to have been over there at the time because it would have been quite entertaining. But yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And we've gone off topic a little bit, haven't we? But my point being is that, like, I've never strayed from my thought and how I've thought about the establishment and how they will control whatever they need to control. This LA fires is the first time I've questioned that.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I don't know who, you know, at the end of the day, they could work for that govern, couldn't they? They could work for that person. So Donald Trump wants it to happen, they'll make it happen, won't they? And that's as simple as it gets. Not to say it is, by the way, that's not what I'm saying, but I just find it all a bit odd. This is too odd for me. It's the first time I will sit here and say that's baffled me.
Yeah, yeah.
The forest fires have baffled me because that goes against my way of thinking, against the establishment. Because that's either natural causes, that forest fire, which who's to say it isn't?
Yeah.
Who to say it isn't? It could be totally natural.
But this is the other thing as well. When straight away they jump on it. Well, it's climate change, isn't it? Even on the news earlier, and they said exactly what I said about, you know, the dry wood on the ground and this and that, lack of water, a drought and all that leading up to it. And then the next breath he said, and climate change has got. And I think, well, hang on a minute, you've just told everyone the reason why it's gone as way it has, with the winds from the desert and this and that and the dry wood on the floor, but climate change done it. And you think, got to jump on that bandwagon every time. There's always got to put that narrative spill on everything. Sorry, I interrupted you then, didn't I, Russ?
No, because I'm just sort of looking at the reports as we're talking, to say, you know, to see sort of what the narrative is that the media is playing out. And obviously I've got Sky News up on the screen, and the first one that 3 hours ago, this drives me crazy. Things like this don't tell people what to do it yourself, then tell people. Harry and Meghan encourage Californians to support devastated residents. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have called for friends and neighbours of those impacted to open your homes, open your doors for your neighbours, the elderly, the disabled. Fine, you do it, then I'll do it. That's what pees me off more than anything. Celebrities coming on the telly saying you should do this, you should do that. Look at all them celebrities walking through the town saying about the help out the refugees and all that, give up your bedrooms.
Yeah.
Go on then. You give up your 6 bedrooms that you've got in your house, then come on the telly and say it. These are the two like popular people at the moment, Meghan and Harry, because they're in the spotlight. I bet their bloody door ain't open to any of their neighbours or anyone. Of course they ain't. That really goats me, that bit. That goats me.
I totally agree with you.
Giving it that. Lead by example, then do it.
Yeah.
If I see you in your house with 20 people in it, I tip my hat to you and take it back and eat all my words. Better don't. Better I bloody well don't.
Yeah.
You know? They'll tell everybody to do it, but they won't do it themselves. That's what I hate about celebrities. That's what I really hate about celebrities. Fire closing in on observatories and communication towers. That was just now. So what are they hiding? Once again, in my head, what's the communication?
And observatories. Looking at the skies.
So
everything going on in the skies in America, they take the observatories out.
Yeah, well, it's weird, isn't it? What is this hiding? I suppose in a week's time, we'll have a little bit more sort of to say on this matter, because I think obviously the conspiracy, this is very fresh, isn't it? This is very new. So the conspiracy theorists like us haven't really had enough time to sort of strip it apart just yet. But what was it? Isn't there a film, Battleground LA or something, Los Angeles? Wasn't there a film based on that? Was it The Rock in that?
It's about what you just said, though.
I'm sure there's a film called LA. Battlefield LA, Battle something. Oh, it's The Rock, isn't it? Let's go through his films. I'm sure it was. Battleground. Oh, what am I clicking on random things now just to get films up? I might be wrong. Wasn't it San Andreas or something?
Oh, that one. Yeah, it was the earthquake, wasn't it? The San Andreas fault line.
Yeah, perhaps that's the one I'm thinking of then. That might be the one I'm thinking of. So take all that back. But there is an LA something. There is a film that says LA something. I can tell you that. And go from there. But we've sort of filled everything in. Do you feel like we've filled everything in tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, since the last show, the old drone situation and that is, although it's still going on, it seems to have quietened right down, doesn't it?
In the States, yes.
It's kicking up a bit, isn't it?
It is. It's on that borderline of England and Wales. But then the more I sort of dug a little bit into it, Lakenheath had quite a few sightings around Lakenheath. All military bases are all part of the US again.
Yeah,
they're not British ones.
Yeah, it's not Alien, is it? Let's be honest.
I am swerving away from Alien at the moment.
Yeah, it's government. It's something to do with the government and whatever it is they're doing, testing or getting ready for. In my eyes.
Yeah, I think it's probably some military. But to be fair, the first I don't know if I don't know if it was the footage I sent you of the bloke standing in his garden filming it, and then you actually hear and witness that F-15 turn up in Wales. But you see how quickly that drone moves, and that is fast. That is pretty fast, and I was quite shocked because that's the first time I think I'd seen that sort of footage of the so-called orb and the plane in the same shot, and then you could see the plane coming in with its lights flashing, and this thing just went and gone. I was like, well, that's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
And witnessed just how fast potentially they move and what they're moving in. So,
but
yeah,
it doesn't say it's not the military though, because that could have just been a test. Does it show up on the radar? How quick can you get away when you're approached? Have this? It could all be test scenarios.
It's just very odd. Just very, very odd. But I should think there'd be more to come on it. I know Joe is quite...
Yeah, there's no way that's over, I don't think.
Yeah, I think they're just sweeping it under the carpet. It's still happening, but we know it can be taken, can't it, off of the mainstream media.
And I think that's all that has. I don't even think it's calmed down. I think he's literally just, well, it's been overshadowed by other things now, hasn't it? So
They can't keep showing us the same stuff, can they? Let's be, here it goes, another drone in the sky with no one doing anything about it. There goes another UFO, but we know it's a UFO, but we're not going to tell you it's a UFO because we're not going to do anything about it.
That's exactly
That's
the
what
point,
it feels
isn't it?
like.
It's over military bases. Now, if it wasn't theirs and it wasn't the government's, did shoot it down. It's over a military base. And they haven't.
It all to me.
So it's us. I'm telling you, us or them. It's not alien.
Sort of agree, Paul. I have to sort of agree. And on that note, it is time to end the show. We are going to end the show. In true style, we are just going to say thank you for everyone that's watched and listened tonight. Sorry, we tried to keep it low key. That never really happens, and I don't think Carl would want it to be low key. I think you want the show to go on as normal as possible. We will be back next week, and as I said, we don't generally know where Pulse Talk Radio is heading, and if it will be here next month or the month after. But we will continue to broadcast on Pulse Talk until times otherwise. And once if that story ends, then we continue in what we have been doing in Carl's memory on Facebook and all the other platforms, YouTube, because I don't feel I can let this show go now. It plays too much of an important role. And it does give me and Paul a chance to vent. I know we can sit here and talk about absolute shit, and people say that's boring, that's this, that's that. But
gives us a chance to
understand. Yeah, just understand that this is just two people talking about their opinions that potentially has no rhyme or no reason, no backing, no substance, but we just feel that we need to vent. That's it. That is how this show runs. And yeah, we've got a couple of people that we want to get on the show. I know that Heidi is now coming back, and this year we can get Heidi on the show. I know Joe wants to come on the show. Let's get Mickey on the show, and he can really sort of enlighten us into things that will enlighten us. But we don't know. We're not all knowledgeable people. We're generally not. I think half the shit that we talk about is probably a load of old balls, isn't it? And if you put it into some random, they'd go, "Oh my God, them two need putting down." Giving them a voice.
This is like our therapy session, I think. It keeps us grounded. It stops it building up in our minds. So
it would absolutely is it our therapy sessions. I couldn't agree more, because I can guarantee you, my missus and your wife would look at us and go, "Am I really, really a part of them too? Really?" I'm glad they don't associate ourselves at times with this to each other. And that's how I see it. Do you know what I mean? We are strange. Our brains work differently. We think that we're onto something, but we'll never ever get to the journey's end. We know that, because we just know that. But you know what? If it makes us happy for an hour and a half every week, that will please Carl deep down. I know that. And he will be with us in some way, shape or form every week on this show. If it's pulling wires out of my back of my monitor, if it's making this computer do stupid things, then we know he's about. And that's all we need. He was the biggest conspiracy theory, the stuff that he would send me. Didn't like the governments. So, Carl, if you are listening, go and do some bloody damage to Keir Starmer for us. You know what I mean? Give him a kick up the arse. I know you wouldn't like him. So, guys, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. And I will leave on one note. Is I'm just going to raise a glass to Mr. Carl Wall and say, rest in peace, my dear friend. Thank you for all you've done for this show. And we love you and we'll look after your family. Take care, everybody. Stay safe and see you next week.
Bye-bye.